Hello, everyone. Welcome to day one of the 2025 US Expats Financial Conference, sponsored by Expat Focus, the web's favorite destination for anyone moving or living abroad, and Wise, a leading provider of fast, low-cost international money transfer services and multi-currency accounts for individuals and businesses. We have a fantastic schedule for you, consisting of 9 sessions over 3 days, covering multiple aspects of financial information for Americans living abroad, with perspectives from some of the world's leading experts in their fields. Today is the first day of the conference, and this is our second session of the day. I'm delighted to be joined by Joe Cronin from International Citizens Insurance, who will be discussing health considerations and solutions for US expats in 2025. Before we start, please bear in mind that the information presented is for general educational purposes only, and you should always seek your own personalized financial advice. Note also, while the conference is free to attend, if you'd like to leave a tip for the organizers, you can do so using the PayPal link I'll drop into the chat window at the foot of your screen. Joe will be answering your questions at the end, so please add them in the Q&A pop-up at the foot of your screen throughout whenever you think of them, and we'll try to answer them all at the end, time permitting. So without further ado, over to you, Joe.
Great. Thank you, Hugo. I'm just going to share my screen now with presentation. Is that coming through?
Yes.
Great. Well, welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Joe Cronin, and I am president of International Citizens Insurance. We are a leading brokerage offering clients access to a variety of international insurance plans, including health, life, and travel. Our team is global. We have people here in Boston, Tampa, but also Philippines and the Netherlands, and we're continuing to grow. Over the next 20 minutes, I will introduce our company, the services, and the plans that we offer. I'll try to address some common questions regarding international health insurance, and then at the end, we can have some time for discussions and a more general conversation. I'll start with a brief introduction to our company. International Citizens Insurance was established in 2004 and is now one of the largest expat health insurance brokerages in the world. We're a top producer for Cigna Global, for GL Blue. We're a platinum producer for International Medical Group. We're a top 2 producer for Unisure. We work with 10 plus different insurance companies, and that gives us the ability to give our clients options and a range of programs and service levels, pricing, cost. Our clients are individuals, families, groups, students, anyone who lives, travels outside of their home country. And today our focus is on international health plans. As brokers, our team of licensed agents provide personalized advisory services to our clients via email, phone, text, to help them find the right plan. We're a dedicated resource for our clients from the initial research phase through choosing and purchasing your plan. We remain available to assist you for the full policy period and can assist with claims, plan questions, renewals, anything life throws at you during your international experience. So now let's move forward with some common questions we get from clients. So the first most important question is, why would I need international health insurance plan? Not having the right insurance is a gamble on yourself to stay healthy. And it is a choice a lot of people do make. Some people self-insure, hoping that nothing major will happen. For others, they decide to protect yourself and your family against an unknown risk and the peace of mind that comes with it. Make buying insurance the best choice. Many clients feel the cost of healthcare in their host country is low enough that they can self-insure or cover all expenses that come up out of their own pocket. So they don't need insurance. It's something they're planning, saving for, and have money set aside. Others choose to buy a local plan offered by their host country. And finally, others seeking something more affordable may purchase a low-cost travel insurance plan. All are reasonable options and will potentially save you money, but in the short term. For those who self-insure, there are risks that if you have a severe illness and the costs are more than expected, or if you want treatment in a facility that you can't afford. If you are considering self-insuring, we usually recommend a plan, a basic plan with emergency-only inpatient care, also known as a catastrophic plan. These plans won't cover a lot of the expenses that you might incur, but if something significant happens, that's when it will start to come in and pay for long-term hospital stays or major illness. For those considering buying local insurance plans, you need to check the requirements and eligibility, such as being a full-time resident for a period of time, having to pay taxes locally. Not everyone is eligible, and more importantly, local plans come with some limitations. For example, they only cover you in your host country in most cases, and so you cannot seek treatment at home in your country of residence or citizenship, and or in another country if you're living in a country with lower quality doctors or hospitals and you want to go to the neighboring country for health care. Local national plan wouldn't provide that option. However, more common complaint with local plans is longer wait times and limited access to private hospitals and/or other limitations and benefits or coverage options. For those considering travel insurance as an alternative, we'll discuss a little bit more of that in a few minutes. So then what are the primary reasons to buy an international health insurance? First and foremost, these plans provide comprehensive worldwide benefits in any country, including your country of citizenship. They provide access to a wider range of doctors and hospitals, public and private, with shorter wait times. They provide also 24/7 emergency medical assistance in your language to help you find the best facilities for your care, and also facilities that they have a direct relationship so they can pay any medical costs directly so you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. And finally, they provide more comprehensive health benefits if you choose, with some plans including medical evacuation, vision, dental, repatriation that may not be available in local plans or travel plans. Of course, the downside of these international plans is their costs. They're a little bit or sometimes more significantly more expensive than a local plan or a travel insurance plan. Those costs can be managed with, we'll get into some of the details of that, but you can choose different levels of coverage, selecting higher deductibles, or excluding certain benefits such as vision and dental. So what is covered, and what do you get for your money? There are generally 6 major benefits most international health insurance will include or offer as optional benefits. And the first is inpatient care. It's basically standard with all the plans that we offer. And that is simply defined as if you get admitted to a hospital for an extended period of time, typically for at least one night, it's inpatient care. Outpatient care is included, and it's care for outside of the hospital, typically in a doctor's office for things like physical therapy, a rolled ankle, needed an x-ray, but not an overnight stay at the hospital, or cutting a finger if you get sick, etc. Plans offer medical evacuation. So if you're in a remote area and the local hospital or doctors are unable to treat you, they will cover transportation from where you are to the nearest hospital that is qualified to help treat your illness or injury. And repatriation is returning you or your mortal remains, if you should pass away, to your home country. Health and well-being benefit is coverage for routine exams, checkups, tests, for example, annual physical or a mammogram, and it can include other benefits such as mental health services. Vision and dental is usually an optional add-on with most plans, and it can provide coverage for routine or preventative care, for example, exams, glasses, contacts, or cleanings. And finally, maternity benefits. They cover pre and postnatal care along with delivery. And most plans, though, just to be aware, will typically exclude maternity benefits for the first year of the policy. So they don't want someone who got pregnant yesterday and then comes and buys the policy only to cover their maternity. So you have to plan ahead in that case if you're planning on having children. In general, the plans come with core coverage or basic coverage and allow you to pick and choose optional add-ons. So study the plan table of benefits when you're looking at different plans and try to understand what comes with the core coverage along with coverage limits for various types of benefits and which benefits are optional that you can add or not add as you choose. And then take time to research the plans and use all of the resources available to you. Ask questions in advance, and you should know what you're getting before you purchase the policy. All the plans will ask you to choose an area of coverage for your policy. So if you're a U.S. citizen moving to Europe, typically get two options. You can choose to have coverage that includes worldwide. So you'd be covered in Europe, back in the United States, but anywhere you may be traveling or living to during the coverage period. The other option would be coverage throughout the world, excluding the United States. So as healthcare costs are higher in the US, you can save money by choosing to exclude coverage in the US for your plan, but you would forego your option of getting the most benefits in the US. And then other select plans will have additional areas of coverage that you can choose from. We have a plan that offers coverage for Europe only. So if you are living in Europe and you might want to go to a doctor or hospital in another country in Europe, so you'd still be covered, but you wouldn't be covered outside of Europe. And then another plan offers coverage in two countries, your country of residence and your country of citizenship. So there's various options. And then in terms of what combination of benefits are right for you, every person and situation is unique. For some, just having inpatient coverage is fine, as outpatient care and health checkups are affordable where you may be living. In other countries, a more comprehensive plan might be necessary or desired. When we think this is where our agents can make the most difference for our clients, picking the right combination of benefits, which different insurers offer a variety of different options, coverage areas, benefits, deductibles. So having an expert licensed agent to help you with that decision is advantageous. And just as important, you also need to understand what might not be covered. Every insurance plan has a list of exclusions. So those would be benefits or treatment that would not be covered under the policy. And so this list will be provided to you at the time of your policy purchase. You can ask for it beforehand when you're reviewing it. And typically, if you get it afterwards and you see something in there, you have typically 14 days where you can cancel the policy and get a full refund. No problem. Most of the policies actually offer flexible cancellation policies, and as long as you haven't made a claim. Once you start making claims, the insurance companies expect you to pay. These policies are typically annual policies, so they'll expect you to pay for the full year. So some of the examples of things that might be excluded would be injuries sustained while committing an unlawful act. Some plans exclude contraception or birth control drugs. Others exclude treatment for, most exclude treatment for undisclosed pre-existing conditions. Then regarding to pre-existing conditions, they are treated differently by all insurers. the best way to find out how your insurance will treat that is to apply. However, regardless of the plan, all clients go through a process of what's called medical underwriting when you apply, where each applicant will complete a questionnaire regarding their medical history. If you have no major pre-existing conditions, your application can be approved without further review. Applicants with a medical history may have to provide additional information, such as a recent physical exam, in order to get approval. Depending on the information provided and the severity of any pre-existing conditions, the underwriters will do typically one of four things. If it is a minor pre-existing condition, then they'll generally accept the application and cover the condition as any other illness. So if you had a broken leg last year. For other more significant pre-existing conditions, they may approve your application, but exclude benefits relating to that specific condition. Or they may cover the condition with what they call a rate up, an additional charge for that specific coverage. Or they may add additional limits on claims relating to that specific condition. So the policy would get approved, it would be more expensive, and there may be some limitations added. And then finally, significant pre-existing conditions can result in denial of your application. So we encourage everyone to read the policy certificate, any exclusionary riders. And again, all plans can be canceled within that free look period of typically 10 to 14 days with a full refund of your premium after the policy is approved. So speaking of premiums, what does it all cost? So it varies. As you maybe can tell from the previous conversations, we sell policies as low as $1,000 per year, and we've sold policies over $30,000 per year. Budget concerns are definitely an important factor in designing a plan for your specific situation. You need to be able to afford the plan as part of your overall budget. The good thing for U.S. citizens is that global plans are typically less expensive than U.S. health insurance plan. Factor in that is most people are getting treatment or care outside of the U.S., which is significantly less expensive. And some other things to consider. Our average policy size is $5,500, maybe $6,000 per year per person, less for children. And the costs are dependent on a variety of factors. So big one is your age. It's more expensive for older applicants. The number of people on your policy. So a married couple with 2 children is going to be more expensive than a single person. The level of coverage you choose. Do you want policy with high maximum medical benefit limits and comprehensive coverage, or do you want a basic inpatient plan with limitations on how much is covered? Then also you can choose a deductible amount. So the higher the deductible, the lower your monthly or annual premium would be. And then additionally, sometimes the country you're moving to will have an impact on your price as well. You typically will have the option to choose different plan levels. So one provider has plans they call bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And while other plans might be either basic or premier. Bronze level plans will have fewer benefits, lower limits on the benefits provided, while platinum level plans have the most benefits with the most amount of medical or coverage available. And silver and gold level plans will fall in between these two. You can also choose to include or exclude optional add-on benefits. And as I said, the deductible. The optional benefits such as vision and dental will increase the cost, and adding higher deductibles will lower your monthly premium. So you may be thinking, this is expensive. Are travel insurance plans a good option? So in many cases, they are a good option for some clients. The primary benefit of these plans is coverage for emergency medical situations. So your coverage should you get sick or injured up to a preset limit chosen at the time of purchase. Additional travel insurance benefits like coverage for lost luggage, trip interruption are included. They work well for someone who's on a tighter budget or is abroad for shorter periods of time and or need a plan to meet visa requirements in the country they are moving to before they get on maybe a local plan. So you might consider travel insurance if you're keeping a domestic health insurance plan in place and traveling back and forth from your host country on a regular basis. If you're younger, more cost conscious, or if you're planning to get on a local plan in 3 to 6 months. The downside of travel plans when compared to international health plans are that the travel plans provide little to no benefits for outpatient care, except for medical emergencies. They don't provide health and wellness checkups or vision and dental care. Pre-existing conditions are generally excluded on travel plans. Coverage in your home country of citizenship is limited if you decide to travel home, and they are renewable, some for 1 year max, some are renewable for 2 or even up to 3 years. And then any illness that occurs during the initial policy term, if after that initial policy term ends, would be excluded as a pre-existing condition, whereas international health plans are annually renewable. So any medical issues that come up in year 1 would be covered 5 years later if you remain on the plan. So there's definitely a good place for travel insurance plans, and we offer many. As with most decisions, there are pros and cons to each, and we feel strongly that you should have some type of coverage in case you do get sick. And we all get sick. Regardless of the plan type you choose, you're going to need help to get treated when you're in a foreign country, and your insurer can provide that. All insurers provide 24 medical assistance hotlines, so you can call into the insurance company. You should call the insurers as soon as you get sick and think that you might need to have a doctor. You need to let them know you're seeking care. They're there to help you through this process and find the best care, including qualified doctors at a facility they have a relationship so they can pay the provider directly. They'll also help find doctors that speak your language, whatever country you may be in. If you go to a provider that does not have a direct pay relationship with the insurer, then you might have to pay the bill, then submit a claim to the insurance company to be reimbursed for any of those eligible charges after the deductible. And claims can be submitted electronically, and they typically reimburse within 5 to 30 days after your claim has been received. Just if you do go to the doctors, make sure you have copies of all documents to supply bills and receipts. The insurance companies do want you to get quality care as soon as possible. It costs them more if you wait too long, have a lingering issue, and don't get it treated early. So use their resources as often as possible to get the most out of your plan. So that's it. It's a quick review. I hope it was helpful, and I want to thank you for your time for joining us today. And you can imagine there's a lot of information to take in. Again, our team is available to provide more specific guidance based on your unique situation. We rarely get 2 clients who are alike. I love this business. It's really interesting clients from all around the world. We do work with a lot of U.S. citizens moving abroad, but we're global, so we can work with any nationality moving to any country worldwide with some limitations, a few limitations maybe on 10 to 15 countries. And our goal is to find the best plan for your needs and for your budget. And for now, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Joe, for that excellent presentation.
Thank
One
you.
question I have is that I think, is it true in your experience that some countries require expats to have private insurance when they move there? Because I think there are some countries in Europe where when you've been there a certain amount of time, you can access the kind of local healthcare system, but to begin with, under visa rules, you're required to have take out private insurance. Does that sound right? Do you get many of those clients?
Yes, yes, for sure. Um, and it's tricky. So a lot of times our agents will get specific visa questions, and we wish we could, but we're not. We can't be experts on visa, and we're and health insurance. We're experts on the health insurance plans. So we encourage our clients to check what the visa requirements are, and oftentimes there will be set requirements um, for the insurance that they have before they enter the country in order to qualify for that visa. And most of the insurance companies that we work with will be able to provide a policy certificate, a visa letter in some cases, as needed to document that the proper insurance is in place at the time of the visa application. Um, so yeah, there are some countries that require plans that have an unlimited benefit. So a plan such as maybe a bronze plan that I mentioned has limits up to maybe $1 million per year in medical benefits. So that might not work. I forget if it's Spain or Portugal. I think it's Spain requires that expats moving there have a policy that has unlimited coverage and zero, and some of them require zero deductible plans when they're either visiting or moving to that country, depending on the visa. And then countries have a variety of different visas that people may apply to, and the different visas may have different insurance requirements. So
Question, check
check
the
with
rules.
that. If you
Yeah.
understand, if clients understand what their visa requirements are, then we can find plans that have the proper coverage to meet those visa requirements.
Right, well, we've got quite a few questions. Keep those coming. So let's kick off. Corinne says, my parents live in France and are 80 years old. If they decided to move to the US, would your insurance cover them in the US?
Yes, again, our plans are global. So we work with about half our clients are US citizens who are moving to live in foreign countries. About 15% of our clients are foreigners moving into the US, and the rest are globals could be from the UK moving to Mexico, could be Mexico moving to Canada. And so, yes, our plans would cover foreign nationals coming to live in the United States.
And when you mentioned earlier that there are certain countries you don't cover, those are presumably the ones that are typically difficult, the North Koreas and I suppose Venezuela's, I guess, and those kind of countries.
Correct. Correct.
Got it.
OFAC countries, Iraq.
Yeah. Corinne asked for what an estimated premium would be. I think that's probably you'd probably want to get in touch via the website because I think they'd probably have to know more specific details and all sorts of things. So, okay, the next question is, what is an example of a significant pre-existing condition?
Good question. It's fair. So someone who has advanced cancer, typically AIDS is something that would, if someone has AIDS, would be another one. And so anything that typically would cost the insurer significant amounts of money to cover and treat that person going forward would be considered a significant pre-existing condition as a general rule. And again, different insurers will have different criteria in terms of what is their medical underwriting guidelines, so they can offer some are more flexible than others. So our agents can help determine which, if there are pre-existing conditions, they might recommend you apply with one insurer versus another.
Somebody says, what is the advantage of going to you rather than directly to a firm like Sigma?
Oh, that's great. Thank you for that question. So one, the plans cost the same. So there's no difference in the cost. And so we work closely with Cigna as the example. And oftentimes a client will come to us, get multiple quotes, and then they can apply directly with Cigna if they want, or they'll have one of our agents. Our agents will sometimes help the applicant through the application process. But the biggest assistance that we can provide is providing a variety of different options for a wide range of people who are coming to us who need them. So Cigna can talk to you all day long about their plan. They don't necessarily have insight into other plans and how one plan compares to another plan. So as we talk to our clients, we would recommend Cigna's a great option. We sell a lot of the Cigna plans, but for some people, so for U.S. citizens moving abroad, but they want the most coverage in the United States, GeoBlue offers 9 months of coverage per year in the U.S., while Cigna offers 6 months of coverage in the U.S., and that's important to some people. So it is a consideration. Also, GeoBlue is more flexible on underwriting guidelines. So someone with a pre-existing condition. So our agents can provide expert advice on a variety of different plans and fit the clients into the best plan for their specific situation. And again, it costs the same if you buy with us or direct with the insurer. The other benefit is that we have a customer resolution team here. So if the client is having issues with renewals or payments or claims and the insurance company is hard to get in touch with, they can come back to us and say, listen, I've submitted my claim 2 weeks ago and I haven't heard anything. So we have really strong relationships with all these insurers, and we know who to talk to, who to go to get a issue resolved. And we do that for our clients. And that sometimes is the biggest value.
Thank you. Anthony says that the most significant factor for health insurance is how easy it is to process claims. Which company scores the highest for client satisfaction regarding settlement of claims?
I like GeoBlue, and so I was in Spain in November, and I had a great experience. So I got sick. I needed to go to the doctor. They have an app. I went on the app and found a doctor that was 8 blocks away from my hotel. I called. They spoke English and made an appointment for 4 hours later. I walked in. They said, well, you need a guarantee of payment from GeoBlue. You can either do that via the app, or you can, in my case, I called, and within 15 minutes, GeoBlue issued a guarantee payment both to myself and to the provider. And they took me in 10 minutes later, and I paid nothing. It was great, really easy. Cigna's great. IMG is much better than they were a few years ago. And they continue to improve, and they're heavily investing in overall in their international health plans. So we're excited for those improvements.
Next question is, are there age limits? For example, people over age 70 wouldn't be covered.
So yes, and with some insurers, and other insurers there are no age limits. And so it's again, if you come to us, we can recommend the plans that more flexible or available to people depending on their age. Typically, if you apply before you get to an age cutoff, you may be able to stay on that plan for life as long as you've applied before the age of 65 or 70, whatever the cutoff may be with that particular insurer. Other plans will, after you turn 70 or 75, they put you on what they call a senior plan, and that would be more limited benefits. And so a lot of times people say, well, this plan is great, and it's much more affordable than this other plan. And we can tell you, well, that's true, but when you turn this age, the benefits will be limited, or oftentimes the premiums increase every 5 years. So the insurance has age bands. So from 55 to 60, it might be one premium, and then when you turn 61, the premium jumps more significantly than you would expect, or based on being on the policy for the previous 5 years. There's sometimes that's an issue, and so someone will say, well, this is great, but our agents can tell you, well, next year the premium is going to be 20% more instead of a typical 5 to 7% increase, because you've moved into a different age band.
Okay, Mark says, I live in Japan where 70% of costs are covered by Japan's national healthcare. Would it make sense to bundle up international citizens insurance with my current Japanese national health plan?
So it again, it depends. So if that provides everything that you need, then that's pretty good. But you can bundle it with an international health plan, and that would give you, full comprehensive coverage in Japan, but also global coverage, so you could get treatment back in your home country or wherever you might want to. And so it's a case by case basis, and the short answer is yes. And different people have different situations. We have clients who live 4 months in the U.S., 4 months in Costa Rica, and 4 months in Europe, and so there's a range of clients.
That sounds like a nice way to live.
I know, doesn't it?
I see from your website that GeoBlue excludes certain US states for its expat insurance, e.g. Washington State. Is that temporary, or is there something fundamental to insurance regulations in those states? It means it'll never happen.
It's driven primarily by insurance regulations in those states, and there's those limitations. So if someone is moving to New York State, there are fewer options available, which is frustrating because it limits the options that people have who want to move to that state. But we do have plans that would cover people moving to any states that one of our insurance providers might not cover. And we have other options for those people.
Thanks. Do you have internal plans that work with Medicare?
They don't work with Medicare, so they would be supplemental. And so if someone's on Medicare in the U.S., what we might see is that they would purchase an international plan that excludes coverage in the U.S. And so if they wanted to get treated in the U.S., they could come back and be covered with Medicare. But if they want to be treated in their country of residence, wherever they may be living, then the international health plan would cover that. Other people in those situations, other people might buy a travel medical policy that would cover them outside of the U.S. for the period of time that they're abroad. But you have to buy one every time. If you're 3 months in the U.S. and then you go to Italy for 9 months, you buy a travel plan for the 9 months that you're in Italy, and and come back to the US, and then you'd have to buy another 9-month plan the next time you return to Italy.
Great. Ecuador requires expats to have health insurance in order to obtain temporary and permanent visa. Okay, there's no question there. If a person gets covered by the expat country before 1 year, can you then cancel private insurance? So I guess that's when you can access the local healthcare system after a period of time.
Great.
Um,
Right. So most of these plans you can purchase their annual plan. So if you purchase it January 1st, it would cover you for the full year. And if at some point you found another alternative, you can request cancellation of your policy because you have another plan, maybe a local plan, or you purchase a different plan. And so typically that's not an issue if you haven't filed any claims. But as soon as you start filing claims, then it'll be more difficult to cancel that plan because the insurance company wants to be reimbursed at least for the full policy, 1 year policy period, to cover the costs that they incurred when they covered your claim.
right. Do you have guidance on pre-existing macular degeneration that requires monthly injections, and whether they are ever covered? That's quite specific.
Right. So the specific pre-existing questions are difficult to answer because, again, different insurance companies will handle them differently. And so what we recommend to clients is if they want to find out if it will be covered or not, then to submit an application. There's no cost to apply, and you'll get an answer of how that insurance company would handle that pre-existing condition. And they don't disclose externally, even to us, what their medical underwriting guidelines are. It's proprietary to each insurer, and it would be helpful if they did, but generally, to get specific answers, submitting a free application takes 15-20 minutes, would get that answer.
Gil asks, when you mentioned the significant pre-existing conditions, AIDS is much less common state than HIV positive, which many people live healthy, normal lives with. Do the insurance providers acknowledge the difference? I guess HIV and AIDS is the question.
Right. I think the easy answer is no, but there may be cases, and we can work with individual applicants to help them figure that out.
So, Davos, what about insurance for expats who normally live abroad who travel back to the USA for a couple of months or so? Is it better to take out a policy or get travel insurance?
For the trip back to the US?
Yeah, if it's a long trip for a couple of months, for example.
Right. So you can buy a comprehensive health insurance plan with worldwide coverage, and it would cover you in your country of residency as well as back in the US for the full 12-month policy period. And but it will be more expensive. So what some people do is they will buy international health insurance excluding the United States. It's less expensive, and then they'll buy a travel insurance plan when they visit the United States. You can get a good travel medical plan that will cover medical emergencies that occur while you're visiting the US. And it's just you can't go then to your doctor for annual physical with a travel medical plan. So if you have a local doctor in the US that you want to come back and get a physical or treatment for different things, then you'd have to buy an international plan with coverage, including the US.
Thank you. So a couple of good questions here. So somebody living in the UK who's covered by the UK kind of state health service, and they wondering if they can purchase a policy that gives them cover for serious situations where they'd normally use the National Health Service in the UK, so they could get treatment quicker if something serious happened.
Yes, that's fine. They can buy these plans and it will cover. And a lot of times what will happen is the international health insurance plan, not always, but would work with the local plan, and then they would cover anything that wouldn't be covered by the local plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then the second part of that question, would they see different doctors depending on the insurance provider when you're abroad, or do they have the same doctors?
So generally with all these plans, you can choose to go see any doctor or go to any hospital, and they typically will have a list of preferred providers, and sometimes and generally those are higher quality hospitals or doctors, and a lot of times they'll speak English, or you can find doctors that speak whatever language you speak. You can find doctors that speak that language, and also they have specific relationships with specific doctors and hospitals where they're able to pay those providers directly. So it's just an easier, you don't have to file a claim later. But if you choose to, or in some situation where there's an emergency and something happens and you have to go to the emergency room and you end up staying for a week or two, you don't have a choice of where you're going, and the insurance would cover you regardless of the hospital or doctor that you go to.
Do the insurers you represent utilize managed care to adjust claims?
I'm not sure what the intent of that question is.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I thought it might make sense to you. That's from Daniel. Daniel, if you want to rephrase that, drop it. We'll get to it in a minute. So Thomas says, I'm 74 and planning to retire in Punta Cana I think that's Dominican Republic. I won't be
Nice.
living there full time. So what kinds of coverage should I get? In the US, I'm covered by Medicare and United Healthcare.
Right. Yeah, so that's an open question, and everyone's going to have different priorities. So, again, probably a good option would be an international health insurance plan that excludes the U.S., and it would cover anything that would come up in terms of medical issues that need to be taken care of in Dominican Republic or wherever you choose to get treated. And then if you wanted or needed to come back to the U.S. for care, it would be covered by Medicare. But if you're in the U.S. for 9 months and you're 3 months in the Dominican Republic, then you might buy a travel medical plan for just the 3-month period that you're abroad, and you have good coverage in the States.
How many insurance companies do you work with that provide health coverage in Portugal? I assume they all would, I suppose.
They all do. So more than 10.
GeoBlue website Explorer policy is said to cover applicants up to age 74. Do they provide coverage for those over 74?
I don't know the exact answer to that question. My understanding is as long as you applied before that age, the policy can continue. But if anybody wants to follow up, they can email me directly. So my email is joe@internationalinsurance.com. So just joe@internationalinsurance.com, and I can get that question answered definitively if anybody wants it.
That's useful. I think there are quite a few questions about, very specific circumstances, and yeah, just follow up with Joe by email. And the website is internationalinsurance.com and joe at internationalinsurance.com. That's a nice question. If you're traveling around the world without fixed itinerary or country for a year, what plans would you recommend?
Right. One of my favorite clients that I was talking with a few years ago was their children graduated college, moved out of the house, they sold the house and bought a sailboat. So they were sailing around the world for 2 years. Again, right? Great life.
Yeah.
And so, yes, these policies would be available for that situation, or for people who travel. Again, the example of people who are in the U.S. for 4 months, Costa Rica for 4 months, and Europe for 4 months. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
And providing worldwide coverage is what they do.
Even on the Pacific Islands, though, in the sailboat, they'd find it's global coverage, so there'd be
Right.
whatever. Yeah, fantastic. Does the US have the most expensive policies relative to other? I think it's sort of G7 countries, G something countries, or G7
Right.
countries.
So the policies we offer are global policies. So they're not really U.S. policies, and so typically U.S. domestic health insurance plans provide little to no international coverage. So um, the yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but
Yeah. Okay. So, and then there are last questions are fairly personal. And I'd say, but if it's about your specific situation, reach out to Joe via email. As he says, do companies typically give a discount for paying a year up front as opposed to monthly payments?
good question. Some companies will have discounts if you pay. But if you pay, so the options are you can pay or annually, pay up front the whole amount, and you'll get a discount. It might be 12 to 15% discount if you pay the full premium up front. They also offer quarterly and monthly installments as well. And so for quarterly payments, the discount would be a little bit less, and monthly it would be zero. So that is an option, but not with all insurers. So